to Off the Record, talking real estate with Joe and Makayla. If you're interested in the Portland, Oregon real estate market and want the unvarnished inside scoop, you've come to the right place. Thanks for giving us a listen. Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. Hello, Makayla. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a Friday. It's completely pouring down rain here in Portland, but
It's nasty.
You know, it's spring.
It is.
Today's the first day of spring. Did you know that?
That's right.
Yeah.
And we had to run for cover to get our tacos across the street. It was kind of depressing.
But wasn't it worth it?
So worth it.
Oof. Yeah.
Those are the best.
Yeah. Papi Chulos. Is that what they are? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that place.
Me too.
Yeah. So we've got a great show for everyone today. We are going to talk to you about how to set up a property search like a professional. Everyone goes online, does their searches on Zillow or Redfin or on our website, LivPortland.com. And there's some do's and don'ts. And, you know, sometimes people, I think, get a little bit frustrated with it. And there are definitely tricks that you can use to be able to refine your search better and get better results. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I think it'll be helpful for people, hopefully. A lot of people get really overwhelmed with, you know, everything that they're seeing. But if they just took some time to filter it to their needs, then it would be more productive.
Yeah, I love it.
But before we get into that, I'm dying to tell you about this showing last night. I've been saving, for the listener, I've been saving this story for the pod because I wanted Joe's honest reaction.
I know.
Live.
I'm so intrigued. She wouldn't tell me anything about it.
Usually Joe and I talk like at least 5 times a day on the phone, so I feel like he hears it all.
I do get it all.
I'm saving it for the pod now.
Which I'm very curious what you got in the bag here.
It was crazy. So I had 2 showings last night at 7 p.m. and 7:45 p.m. in Boring, Oregon, with clients that I absolutely adore. So we are excited to get out there. The first property that we had scheduled had just come on the market yesterday. So we were trying to get there fast and be the first people to see it. And then the second one had been on the market a long time, like I think 170 days, and it's more of a fixer-upper. So we get to the first one and it's acreage, you know. The clients are really excited. They're right behind me and we're driving for an hour and a half, you know, it's out there.
Yeah.
And we get there and the property just isn't what we thought it was going to be. It was super weird lot, like wedged in between a quadruplex and then a neighborhood. But it was like 4 acres. In its own little parcel. And there was no way to see that online. So clients were bummed. It was kind of sad. The home was beautiful, but it just wasn't for them. So we move on to the next one and it's like 6 minutes away and we pull up to the property and it's a gorgeous property, like a meadow, big barn, smaller shop, and then the house. And we knew before going into it that the house was unfinished, like walls weren't there, floors were gone. It looked like it had been half demoed and someone maybe ran out of money or something. So we get there and there's a camera on every door and window. Crazy. And there's probably 4 or 5 doors to get in and out of the house. So every door has a Ring camera. There's cameras above. Super creepy, right?
Jeez. I
open the lockbox and there's a set of 4 keys and none of the keys open the doors. And I was getting very frustrated. And, you know, it's pouring. My clients want to get inside and see the house. And we see like basement, like stairs down to the basement.
Oh, no.
Yeah. My client was like, why don't I run down here and see if maybe this one's open? And I was like, go for it. And I like tossed him the keys down the stairs. Did not think it was going to work. The door was unlocked.
Oh.
Yeah. So obviously.
Did it have a camera on it too?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
We had permission to be there, but it felt like we were being watched. I just did not like the feeling. So we go in this basement. The home is 5,000 square feet. So the basement was like the beginning of this maze. And all the electrical was like hanging down. So we had to like kind of fish for the lights, which worked, which was great. But we wander around this basement, totally empty. We go up the stairs and check out the rest of the house. It's probably like almost 2,500 square feet each up and down. So upstairs, there was just like plywood over the, like as the subfloor.
So just subflooring, no actual flooring.
Yeah, very unfinished.
Crazy.
Which was fun. You know, I love looking at homes like that. So we were kind of, you know, our clients are just looking around like, oh my gosh, where would we even start? Right. This probably isn't a great option for us. Too much work. So we're sitting there talking, and then I'm like, okay, well, let's, you know, we can head back. And they're like, let's go out the way we came so we don't have to mess with the locks. And I was like, okay, great.
Good idea.
Thank you guys so much for going back out with me. And so we turn off all the lights. They go down the towards the basement in front of me, and I'm the last one. I flick off the last light, and we go down the stairs, flick off all the basement lights, go out that door, shut that door, try to lock it with one of the keys, but it doesn't work. We go up out of the basement stairs, and we turn around, and the kitchen lights are on in the house.
And they weren't before?
No, I flicked them off on my way down. It was like the hairs on my neck stood up. We looked at each other, and our client, he's so sweet. He's like, what would be the reason for the light being on? And I said, that is not a question we want the answer to.
No. Time to go.
We jumped in our cars. We were saying goodbye as we were jumping in, shutting our car door. I called them from the car to debrief because they were freaked out.
Yeah.
It was so creepy.
Yeah.
So I left the listing agent a nice little message to let them know what went down. But I'm sure the seller is aware of exactly what happened because there were so many cameras. They had to have been watching us.
Yeah.
But
and it was pitch black too, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was 7:45 at night.
Oof.
It was so creepy.
Yeah. This reminds me of the podcast that we did on our Halloween podcast
That was so
last
fun.
year. If you guys haven't tuned into that one, that's a fun one to check out. We tell all of our ghost stories from our different experiences over the years. I think it might be one of the most commented on pods that we've done because there was some weird stuff.
There always is.
Yeah.
I called my mom to tell her about that on the way home, and she's like, well, now you have another story. And I said, you know, I'm over it. I don't need any more.
No.
I'm okay.
Good with boring. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Isn't that crazy though?
It's so creepy. And the buyers were like, was that the seller messing with us?
Yeah.
Or was it haunted? And that's why they had all the cameras to check it out. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
One of those things I'll never get out of my head.
We have properties right now, and I'm not going to name names, but there's a couple of properties we have in inventory right now that being there at night by yourself is just a little bit scary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
nothing like running to your car in fear.
Oh my gosh.
And like with this one, that's why I called the listing agent. I was like, I'm sorry. I left him a voicemail. I was like, I'm not man enough to go back in there and turn it back off. I'm so sorry. Your seller has one light on. I can't do it though.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, I'm glad you survived.
I did. Here to tell the tale.
Here to tell the tale. I know your clients that you're with, and I'm sure they're laughing about it today.
Totally. Yeah. They were laughing about it, but they were spooked.
All three of you, it sounds like.
Yeah. So
yeah, spooky, scary stories.
That's what I got. But moving on. Let's talk a little bit about how to set up that property search like a pro. Sure. A lot of people don't know, which amazes me, but that's okay. That's why we're here. That each of the different websites where you can search for homes. So we're going to talk about LivPortland.com, Zillow, and Redfin. All of those have search criteria that you can punch in and save to your preferences. That way, when you're searching for homes, you'll only get ones that pop up in those preferences. And then also you'll only be emailed with homes that match those as well.
I would say 90% of the search that happens on like a Zillow, a Redfin, are people that really aren't looking to buy a home. They're just home curious, right?
That's true.
Yeah. And 10 to 20% are people that are actually in the process of buying a home. So some of those folks, maybe don't have it set up in a way. They're just like, yeah, I just want to see what's going on in this neighborhood or that neighborhood. And that's fine. LivPortland, though, our website has a higher degree of people that are actually in the process of buying. And you can see the filters that they set up or don't set up. It's very interesting. If you're seriously searching for a home, you want to spend the time to fill out your search criteria and your filters in a way that you're going to be getting good homes to look at. You don't want to waste your time. And I know you have been a home buyer for a while now.
I have been.
And when it just pops up on your phone constantly, and it's like, I don't want to look at that one.
Right.
Why is it sending me that one? Everyone knows that feeling, and that's what we're talking about here. So.
Exactly. My sweet, sweet husband got totally addicted to looking because he didn't have a search. And I'm lucky I get to have the RMLS, which is even more detailed than all these websites. So I just hit the RMLS and it gives me my count for the day. And if there's nothing new, I get to move on. But he's slightly addicted to the Zillow.
Yeah.
He's still kind of, even though we're still pending, he's like, I'm trying not to look. It's like habit now.
Yeah. Yeah. We turn off our searches. So when we have automatic searches set up for clients, once we get sale pending, usually we'll just turn it off unless people ask us to keep receiving those, because it's so distracting and it's so kind of, you start seeing homes and you're like, is this maybe better than that other one, or maybe better than the one that I'm, in contract on right now? All that, it's easy to get buyer's remorse to go sideways on all that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's good advice. Should we talk about the criteria that we think is important to punch in, or do we want to save that? Okay. Yeah. So we talk about prioritizing needs versus wants. So sometimes you can over categorize or filter, I should say, and you won't be getting all of the homes that are available that you might actually like. So focus on your must-haves and stay flexible on the rest. So think about these things when searching: number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, square footage. And we're actually going to talk about square footage here shortly, because so many folks have a hard time visualizing square footage. And I get it. If you're not walking through homes all the time, how are you supposed to know? So we have a good analogy for that we hope is helpful. And then lot size. So also hard to visualize, but similar to square footage, your lot size is important. Do you want a yard? Do you not want a yard? Let's filter that in or out. And then the year built. Very important to a lot of people. Some people only want new construction and some people only want older homes. And then single level versus two-story. If you're only in the market for a single level home, it's so easy to just filter out that second story and not have to worry about it.
Okay, let's dive into LivPortland.com and we'll do a quick run through of what those settings look like, and we'll chit chat about, kind of some of the inside tips on how to do that.
Perfect. And if you're listening, we're actually going to do this live on camera. So you can pull this up on YouTube and get a
this is going to be a visual pod.
Yes. If you find that helpful, tune into YouTube.
LivPortland.com. All right. Thanks, guys. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. We are showing, for those that are just audio, we are showing on our screens right now, LivPortland.com. And if you want to see this, you can go to YouTube, go to our channel, Live Portland Real Estate Professionals, and you'll be able to see our podcast, all of our podcasts, actually. We do video and audio for all of these. So if you'd rather watch, you can go there. But for this one especially, it's going to be a very visual one. So just a quick warning, but we'll try to keep you in the loop if you're just following via audio.
Yeah,
so
hopefully it's still engaging.
Yeah, so here we are on the Live Portland page. We make it nice and easy. There's a search bar right in the splash page, the top fold of the screen here. There's also a search button up there that you can go to and do advanced search, those type of things. We also make it easy to explore communities. So we list out a lot of the different communities that we work in and we've got experience in. So you can go to those, and we've got preset searches set up. So you can click on that, learn a little bit about the community, and also just quickly see what homes are available there. But for today, we're going to do the advanced search on LivPortland.com. And if you want to, at the top, you can just type in an address, you can type in an MLS number, and it'll take you right to that. Property type, I see this once in a while. And in fact, I do it in RMLS sometimes, where I'll have multifamily and commercial and residential clicked. You want to make sure you got residential, right? Property subtypes, we're talking detached. Attached is like a townhouse or something like that. But you want to be able to look and find exactly what you're searching for. So single family residence is what we're going to do today. You can do pending and sold on LivPortland.com, which is a great way to keep track of certain areas, certain neighborhoods, and just see what stuff sells for, right? We do that. I probably got 25 or 30 searches set up for different areas that I'm interested in. And every single day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, I'll go through and just review what's come on the market, what's pending, and then look at what's sold to see, you know, how much did they get versus their asking price, all of those type of things. But for today, we're going to focus on the buyer side, right?
Right. But if you are a seller, you can absolutely use this tool to see what's going on in your neighborhood, and maybe try to be a realtor a little bit and see what your home might be worth.
So all the basics: price range, square foot, bedrooms, baths, year built, lot size, HOA fee, if anything, garage space, all that type of thing. Very basic stuff. When it comes to key to getting a good search set up is starting out tight, right? So if you say, yeah, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, you know, go ahead and put in 3 or 4 and do, you know, your square footage. I always recommend, if you're looking for minimum 2,000, you know, put in 1,800, 1,850, because there might be something that's really close and is a little bit better priced, not quite what you were hoping for, but maybe that doesn't make a difference, right?
Right. And what's the difference of 100 square feet if it's laid out really well?
Exactly. So moving on from that, additional features, this is where you can get really detailed. And I think you and I differ a little bit. Like I said, I like to get very specific right off the bat, because if I can do a search for exactly what I want, including all sorts of different criteria, and it'll spit out 5 or 6, I want to see those first, because I've just said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Show me exactly what I want. From there, you know, a lot of times you get 1 or none. And then you got to start, you know, taking things off of your search criteria or broadening it, more or less square footage, you know, price range needs to get wider, that type of thing.
Yeah, I like to start really narrow, and then if I don't get anything, or if I only get 1 or 2, then I'll widen it out. Yeah.
So additional features, you can do all sorts of different stuff here. You can pool, hot tub, full basement, finished basement. This is all of our search criteria is actually what is in RMLS. So this is every bit the same as what we do every single day with the multiple listing system. So getting all that set up, you know, you can see we've got a counter on the side that shows you right now, residential homes, single family residence, active on the market, 7,467.
Dang.
Do you think that's high or low?
Whoa. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I think I probably would have guessed more like 10,000, but so let's say I want to do 500,000 to 550. I'm not really concerned about square foot. I'm looking at three bedrooms or more, minimum bathrooms. I need 2 bathrooms minimum.
And so snotty.
I know. Come on. And you got to get me at least a 1-car garage. So if we do that, there's 480 of those. Now show me Hillsborough. We're not going to do it by address, I guess. So we can go down. We can view all of those. Here's our city. Sorry. We'll go city and we'll go Hillsborough. 23. So let's view those.
And that's more than I thought it would be.
Yeah. So mostly new construction. What if I don't want something new construction, but something close to being new construction? Yeah. So there's a lot to choose from, right?
There's our cutie little listing.
Yeah, 2 different pages here. We've got a couple of them here. But that's kind of how, you know, for LivPortland, how that works. And then from there, you just click on, you know, you get details of the property, and away you go. All sorts of good stuff. But the key to this is knowing, you know, what you want and what you need, right? Mm-hmm. Make sure you get your needs in there. I have to have this, right? And start squaring it away from there. But I'm amazed at how far search has come, right? So back in 2000, I had a website called portlandehomes.com. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of at the beginning, maybe it was 2002. I don't remember. But it was right at the beginning. And I would try to send clients there and people would be like, well, my internet at home is just way too slow for that.
That's crazy.
I know.
I can't imagine looking for homes a different way.
I know. Well, ever since Wi-Fi and the internet bandwidth has gotten bigger, where you can watch video, you can do anything you want. That was unimaginable, Mac, back in the day, right?
Crazy.
Yeah. So that's LivPortland.com. And you can save all these. You can set up all sorts of different searches, all that sort of good stuff. When you come to the site, all you have to do is log in once. The next times you come, if it's on the same device, you won't have to log in, and it'll have all of your safe searches there for you. So that's LivPortland.com.
Love it. I think that's very helpful.
And just like that, look at that. We switched seats.
It's like magic.
Boom. Magic.
Okay. So we're going to run you through Redfin.com. I'm a little biased. I do think LivPortland.com is the best. So if you are in the market to purchase a home, we would absolutely love for you to look on our website, but we understand that people have preferences, and Redfin, Zillow, they pop up first. Yeah. And that's okay.
I'm finding more people go to sites like ours, LivPortland.com, and of the big ones, Redfin. I think especially in the tech area where I live in Hillsborough, there's a ton of people that use Redfin. I think it's easier to use than Zillow is what I get from most people when I ask them why.
I think they like the history of the home is easier to see. People really, really like that. They're nosy like us. They like to know when the home last sold and for how much.
Good information.
Okay, so I'm on Redfin's platform. It has, again, all of the same function that LivPortland does, but I'm going to go to all filters so I can be a little more specific. They start with price. So I'm going to do 500 to 550, just like Joe did. I'm going to do at least a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, because I'm not as snotty as Joe.
I need 2 full. I'm sorry.
My husband and I have been living in a 1-bathroom house for the last 4 years. We're almost done, and we're so excited. But we survived.
I remember those days. Yeah. Just a little side note, my grandparents on my dad's side had a 1,200 square foot home that was a bath and a half, and they had 8 kids.
Oh, my gosh.
Can you imagine the battles that happened over the shower?
No. I don't think I'd ever speak to my siblings again.
Yeah. Craziness.
Crazy. So then Redfin is very similar again. You choose house, townhouse, condo, land, multifamily, mobile home, co-op, or other. So I'm going to go ahead and select house. They do the coming soon or active or under contract / pending. So coming soon is a really, really great feature that not a lot of people punch in. It means that the home is coming soon to the market. So it's not yet available for viewings, for showings, but you can get a head start at looking at it, which is nice. And a lot of times those get filtered out on accident, but they are there. Time on Redfin, I'm not totally sure why you would want to punch this in, but
if all you want to see is new to the market, I should say.
Sure.
So less than 3 days. If you're actively searching and you're on the app all the time, and you can do this in LivPortland as well, where you only want to see new ones. So you're not, seeing homes over and over when they have a price change or, some detail in the listing has changed. It will send it to you. I think that's a nice feature, actually.
It is, actually. I'm going to do less than 7 days just for fun. Then we have square footage, lot size, stories, and year built. I'm going to do 1,000 square feet.
What about everyone who is looking for a single family?
What do you mean?
Well, the reason I bring that up is a single family home, like there are things called daylight ranches where the main level is,
Do you mean
on top.
A single level?
Single level, right? Single level ranch home type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But daylight ranches it has a basement that's open. So a lot of times these are built like on a side hill or something like that. And the top is main level in the front, but in the back, the basement is
a party.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that feature too. Let's scroll down there. I'm gonna punch one garage. See, we're right there. You can do.
Does it give you a number for how many there are?
What do you mean? Oh, we're at 8 homes.
Oh, geez.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Air conditioning. That's a big one. Air conditioning has a view, fireplace,
Dropped it to 7.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I click basement.
No results.
Basements are super common here, but that's okay.
Then you can go into your costs and finances and that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. Listing type by agent, for sale by owner, foreclosures.
And then Redfin's also really thorough with the schools. And then you can also select homes that only have an open house this weekend, which is kind of nice. Mm-hmm. And then the walk score. I'm not super in the know with what the walk score exactly means, but the higher the walk score, the more walkable the neighborhood is. Sorry. So with that little search, I got 7 homes in the Hillsborough area, which is great.
Mostly all new construction.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Just like our old search.
Just like our old search, except we don't have advertising. Uh-huh. Maybe we should.
No, people will come because they don't want ads.
Yeah.
Right?
No ads. Anytime.
No ads
ever.
here. Unless we get paid one day.
Yeah, we can't guarantee that it's always going to be ad-free.
So yeah, that's Redfin. Big fan of Redfin. Anything else you'd like to mention?
No. It is a good website. I've found that our website, LivPortland.com, actually loads faster for RMLS. So we just put on a new home on the market today. It's already on LivPortland.com, but I do not see it on Redfin or Zillow yet.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So if you're in a competitive price range or doing a really super competitive area or search, LivPortland.com, I'm telling you.
Faster, better, no ads.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we wanted to talk about Zillow, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Zillow is
Played out.
very similar to the others. It seems like people are moving off of Zillow. I really like Zillow's map function because I like to, especially if I'm in a random neighborhood or state, I like to just hit my location and see what's active around me. I feel like theirs is the fastest.
You know what I don't like about that is I was in Palm Springs 3 years ago, and I was in this really cool neighborhood, and I thought, I wonder how much it costs to live here. Because I was, you're down in the sun on vacation. You're like, I could do this a lot.
Yeah.
So
Always
I pulled
optimistic.
it up, logged into my account. So it was me, and did a search. And I was like, okay, yep, great. This is the home I'm looking at right here. And I saved it. I got so many flipping emails from Zillow.
Oh, yeah.
And that thing still hasn't sold, by the way. I've been getting emails for 3 years from Zillow about this one property.
That's insane.
I know.
Maybe you should just buy it.
Nah, I don't think so. It's easier and cheaper for me. For how much we get down to the sun, it's a better investment for me just to pay a short-term rental.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was just playing. Should we tell people about our little square footage analogy?
Yeah, I think that's good.
I gotta say, I did not come up with this. It was AI, but it was helpful because I didn't have this analogy, and people are always asking me, what the heck does square footage mean? I don't have any idea how to articulate this. So I thought it was interesting. So everybody has been inside a 2-car garage, right? Right. So a 2-car garage is 400 square feet. So if you can picture that, you're standing in 400 square feet. So then if you can picture yourself in 4 2-car garages, you're in 1,200 square feet.
Interesting.
Sorry. 3.
Interesting math.
3 2-car garages is 1,200 square feet.
You know, Enrica's still going to make us look smart, even though
I think she should leave that in.
That.
I just let it.
Just let it ride.
I'm dyslexic.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have a 2,500 square foot home is roughly 6 2-car garages. Can you picture yourself standing in 6 2-car garages?
No.
Or picture 3 2-car garages and then know that there's a second story with an additional, the rest of your square footage.
You know what's crazy now? Having been in the business 30 years, and this is kind of a humble brag a little bit, but I can walk a home and pretty much tell you within 100 square feet of how big it is.
I bet you can.
Yeah.
That is impressive.
Yeah. We also, when we're on vacation, not really on vacation, but mostly here around town, every once in a while, my 2 older sons, my younger son doesn't do this. He doesn't care about real estate. But my 2 older sons are getting at that age where they're like, you know, they're getting interested in real estate. And, you know, I was driving around with my middle son, Aiden, the other day, and he's like, how much do you think that's worth? And I was like, probably $1 million, maybe 1.1. And he looked it up real quick and he goes, 1.050. Pretty good, Dad. Pretty good. So
that's very good.
Now that's the running game of, can you stump Dad with what a certain home costs?
I love that. Keeping you sharp too.
Keeping me sharp, keeping me humble. That's my boys.
Anything else about searching for homes?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always smart to set alerts. Even if you're not an active home buyer, sometimes it's nice to know, especially like setting a search for your own neighborhood to know when something comes on the market. It's always very interesting. I have one set for my neighborhood, and we had one come up last week, and it's always kind of one of those things where I was like, I drove by, I saw the sign when I drove home, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm guessing that's, you know, I had a number in mind. But I got the little search on my phone, the alert, and sure enough, bang, it pops up, get to see the whole thing. But if you're interested in real estate, want to stay up on real estate, get those alerts set up so that you get pinged on what's going on. Now, if you're on Zillow, like that story I just told you, I don't know how to turn that off with Zillow. I'm sure there's a way, but it's
unsubscribe
to everything. How do I just say, I don't want to see any more on this home? And I tried to go to the listing and do that, and it got a little squirrely on me. So, but set alerts. You know, Makayla says don't over filter, but I say filter as much as you can to where you're receiving the properties you want. Get as specific as you can. Right?
Great advice. Yes.
But you think you can go overboard and all of a sudden not be seeing homes that you're actually would be interested.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a fine line there.
Especially on price, because if something, you know, if you're pre-approved up to 700, but there's something that's been on the market for a little while at 720, 725, maybe there's some negotiating in there. And you don't want to miss out.
True.
Because you just didn't see it.
Yeah.
But I agree. Be specific. Oh, wow. Be specific if you can.
Yeah, exactly.
And please search on LivPortland.com because it is the best.
It's fantastic. Prioritizing needs versus wants. What do you want to have versus what you absolutely have to have? Mm-hmm. So I've got a wife, 3 boys, and 2 rambunctious dogs. I could not get away with less than 4 bedrooms.
Oh, yeah. No, you could not.
No. And I would have to have a yard. Mm-hmm. So those are have-tos. Those are needs. What I want, I would love to have an acre, but that's just a want. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that directly affects affordability, you know, certain areas. You're just not going to get an acre in certain neighborhoods that I would want to live in.
Right.
So
should I share my filters?
Yeah.
We did the area that we wanted, which I'll keep to myself. And then we did a minimum lot size of 7,000 square feet. And then we did a minimum home size of 2,000 square feet and a minimum of 4 bedrooms. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And then price. But that was about it.
Yeah. Do you want me to share my criteria for the beach?
Yeah.
So
5 million plus.
No. So I am always actively looking at the beach because at some point, someday, I will have a beach place.
Yes, you will.
And mi casa, su casa, by the way.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah. But for my beach search, it's not based on price. It's based on proximity to the water. Either have a view or be on the ocean. That's kind of my need. I love being at the beach.
If you're going to get all the way down there.
Right. And even if you don't have a view of the ocean, the beach is fantastic. But for me, I want to be able to see it, have my cup of coffee and see the waves rolling in. And then I want to have windows, right? Which is hard to put in a search, but big windows, ocean view, all of that, you can go into the remarks in LivPortland.com and search for which remarks you want. So that's the way I do that.
Smart.
But I get that every morning. It's my little dose of dopamine.
Oh, gosh. I understand completely.
Yeah.
I get bummed out when there's nothing, but the rush you feel when there's something new.
Yeah.
Very exciting. All worth it.
Yeah. So that is our little search tutorial, and also, a few little tips and tricks loaded in there. But LivPortland.com, highly recommend it. It's fast. It gets you homes that may not be on the market on some other platforms. And if you need personal advice, or if you're wanting how to get a search set up, or you just want to, talk about this, reach out to Makayla. She's ready and willing to have a phone conversation.
Sure am.
You are actually much better at this than I am.
No, I'm not. You've been doing this since before there was an internet.
Yeah. Quick story. I sat in a sales meeting at a company I used to work for. This is back in 1996.
So before I was born.
Before you were born by quite a bit. Yes, thank you. And there was the internet, or the MLS used to be a book that came out every 2 weeks. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yes. So it was a book that came out every 2 weeks, and you weren't supposed to share the book with clients or anything like that.
Ooh.
And you would have to call to set up a showing and, all that sort of stuff. And then the computers came around, and they had this green screen of death. It was amazingly primitive, but it was all of the listings on a computer. And I sat in a sales meeting, and I was just a young buck, and I'm just kind of listening at the sales meeting where all the sales associates are listening to the manager, who was actually the owner of the company then. And they were having a discussion on pros and cons of, did they want to just still operate off the books, or did they want to use the computer?
Wow.
I know. And I just remember sitting there with my coffee. It was like 8:30 in the morning. And I was just like, are we really having this conversation? Are we really talking about this? Because I'm going to be on the computer. And if something new comes on, you had to wait possibly 2 weeks until the next book came out. Can you imagine that?
No.
Yeah. That's how far real estate's come from the websites we were just talking about to what we're doing now.
Crazy.
It is crazy. So
enjoy your searches, people.
All right, folks. Well, hey, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us today. If you're interested in finding out more about Joe, myself, or the LivPortland team, you can go to LivPortland.com. Thanks for giving us a listen, and see you next time on the Off the Record podcast.